Holy crap!
Good morning, Modern Steaders. I ended up purchasing myself my first Mig Welder. I've used Mig Welders before, but I've never owned one, and we're gonna need one for the shipping container build. So I bought one the other day. Let's go inside and I'll show you what we got. I haven't opened it yet, so I'm kind of curious to see. There we go, that's better. What comes with it and what we're gonna need to get. Good morning, Figaro. So I ended up getting the Vulcan Mig Max 215. This one it's a Mig Welder, and it'll weld with the gas or with the flux coated wire. What are you doing, mister? I've been doing a lot of research trying to figure out which Mig Welder to buy for what we're going to be using it for. We're not going to be using it all the time. We're going to be using it for the shipping container build and random projects on the homestead. One of the big things I was looking at is weight. I was looking at the Vulcan. This is from Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight also makes a titanium. I think it's called titanium. It's a green one. I was looking at the Millers. I was looking at the Hobarts. The Millers were a lot more money. I almost got the Hobart, and I was going to go pick that one up instead of this one. And I started looking at the weights, and the Hobart weighs 79 pounds. This one weighs 44 pounds. And then the titanium weighed 24 pounds, and I almost got the titanium from Harbor Freight. It was a little bit less money, but I really liked the weight of it. But when I was looking at Harbor Freight for the different parts that wear out that you need to replace, they had all those parts for the Vulcan, and they didn't have it for the titanium brand. So I was kind of like, nah, I don't want to be buying a Mig Welder and not being able to get the consumable parts that I need for it. This one we're also able to weld with 110 volts or 220 or 120 and 240, however you want to say it. So you can do it dual, you can get a spool gun for it. We need to open this one up, see what comes with it exactly, and then see what we're going to need to do for our shop to make it so we can weld with 240 volt and try it out and see how it goes. So we'll be bringing this up to our off-grid property and using it mostly up there. So I wanted something that is portable enough to bring back and forth with us, and we're going to be running it off of our generator. So we need to make sure that this will work with our generator. So this one's supposed to weld steel up to 3/8 of an inch thick. From all the reviews I read on it, everybody seems impressed with it. And all the reviews I read on the titanium welder, everybody was really impressed with that one too, especially for the money and how much it weighed. I haven't welded in quite a few years, so it'll be interesting to see how my welding is. And I never was a professional welder by no means. I always was able to do what I needed to do. Oh yeah, that doesn't weigh much at all. That's going to be nice for transporting it back and forth to the property. One of my big deciding factors on which welder to buy was how much it weighs. Because we'll be transporting it back and forth, but not only that, if we're doing work on the homestead, a lot of it will be out in the field, and we don't want something that's too heavy to move around back and forth. We got our nice ground cable. I wasn't sure how the cable itself is going to be, but it seems pretty, it's not stiff, it's nice and relaxed, so that'll be nice. I didn't know how the wiring would be. It's got a good spring to it. 10-foot cable, that should be plenty long enough. Alright, let's set this back up on the bench. The weight of that is so nice. And I must admit, I like the color. Alright, so this side is our door. It's where our wire is going to feed through. So the wire rail is going to go. So we got our flux core mark, stainless steel, steel, spool aluminum gun, our different thickness of our different wires, our speed, and then the voltage. For our needs, that's going to work perfect. Let's get in here and see what we get and what we're going to need to get. Alright, so this is our regulator for our argon gas. So if you're not using the flux coated welding wire, you got to use argon gas, and this is our gauge for that. Alright, so that's for our wire. Have our welding gun. It's going to be the hose that goes from the gauge to the machine. They give us some 03 welding flux core welding wire. Awesome. And then in here we have the regular wire that you would need argon gas for. We have our cord for 240. Boom. Alright, and that's that adapter. And then we have our 110 cord. Okay, and then we have a sheet metal gauge. Oh, that's pretty sweet. We'll get that on a ring somehow so we don't lose it, or a chain, and keep it on the welder. So this is so we can tell how thick our sheet metal is that we're welding. This is our sheet metal thickness gauge. That'll come in handy to have. So the way this works is you take it and you slide it over the metal that you're welding. So this would be 16 gauge. I plan on using this with the flux core welding wire, so that way we don't have to bring an argon tank with us too over to the off-grid property. So I'm hoping that it works pretty well. I make a nice little dummy guide to go with it, showing you what the weld should look like, and if it doesn't, what your issues might be. I'm probably going to need that. I've not done a ton of welding, and the welding that I have done is a while ago. Alright, you take off the spool knob, this wing nut, and then this spindle. This is if you're going to have our 10 or 12 pound spool of wire. We only have the 2 pound spool, so we don't need this. The wire to be going this way, so you would almost think they'd have it like this, but they don't. You got to run it this way with the label going the opposite direction. And this is the gasless flux core welding wire. So bam, that right up against. Then we have our spacer, then our wing nut. We want to make sure this wing nut is tight enough so that this spool doesn't freewheel. Now, since we're going to be using the flux core wire, we need to change the polarity of our wires here. Negatives to negative and positives to positive. We want to reverse those. 1, 2. negative to positive. And then positive to negative. Seems a little backwards, but I'm just following the directions. The other thing we need to change over for our flux coated wire is we need to change over this feed reel knob. This one, let me see if I can show you, is focus. It's got the grooves in it, where the one for the regular wire is smooth. So we need to take this off. Let's open this up, boom, take that one off. This one we took off is just a V groove, it's nice and smooth. So we put it on this way, whatever we're seeing out here is the wire size for in here. If you have it this way, it is for 0.45 wire. This way is for 0.03 and 0.035. We're gonna be using 0.03 today, so we'll put that back on. All right, we do have a key right there, so we're gonna line our key up. That would help. There we go. Bam. Now, all right, I want to connect our MIG gun now. And then again, there's different tips for flux coated wire and regular wire using gas. So we need to loosen up this wing nut. Slide everything in. Get it seated nicely and then tighten this back up. How well you can see that right in here we have different little teeth. And then in here too, so we gotta line this all up. The only thing that I've seen so far that doesn't seem that nicely made is this piece right here. This is just plastic. Doesn't seem very durable. Like you could hit it and break it fairly easily. I hope that's not the case, but I guess time will tell. Alright, so that's on there securely. Yeah, it doesn't seem very rugged. Did purchase the warranty with it, so if we have any issues, they'll swap it out. Sorry if I'm going a little slow. I've never set up a Mig Welder before, so it's new to all of us. And I want to make sure it's set up the right way. So now we are ready. Let me get it plugged in, but we should be ready to run the wire and get the wire fed in. So this is going to be a twist lock. We're going to line up our ends with this. So I'm going to twist it. Need to take off the cap and then screw the contact tip. And then we need to lay our MIG cable out straight. Alright, I want to cut our wire. I don't want it to spring up on me, so I want to keep my hand on it. Get all those little pieces of wire out. I'm going to free this up a little bit so I can feed it in. But I want to cut any bent spots out. And I'll feed the wire in. Tighten that back up now. I'm going to put the idler arm down and put our tensioner back up. You screw this down to the 2 or the 3 mark for our flux core wire. If you had the regular welding wire on, you'd go to the 4 or the 5. Alright, so that's in there now. We're in there about 2.5. That should be good. If we go too tight, we're going to end up crushing the flux core coating on the outside of the wire, and then we'll have issues feeding it through, is what it says. Turn it on. Okay, it took a second to warm up. shut off. All right, so it's got a little cool down mode. It's not feeding, and I saw that the wire is under these other wires. I'm not sure how that happened. I'm not sure if the wire came that way from the factory or if that was something I just did when I cut it, but either way, not the end of the world. So we'll take the wire back out, and then let's spin this. There we go. I'm gonna tighten it back up. I'm gonna throw this all away because if it's got any kinks in it, it's gonna be a pain to feed it. And I'll set it to 2.5. Turn it back on. Takes a second. There it goes. And now we'll run the wire. Oh, much better. There we go. Got our wire coming out. All right, I shut our power off. Put our contact tip back on. And then our nozzle. All right, we got a couple pieces of scrap steel right here. This is about the thickness we'll be welding on the shipping container. So let's get it cleaned up a little bit and we'll see how it works with the 110 volt. If we need to get a 240 adapter for the generator or not, we're gonna find out. I'll set it to number 7. We have our wire diameter, we got flux core, and then we'll set the wire speed to G. We'll try that out. I think the wire speed's too slow, and we're gonna need to go 240 volts. So let's crank up the wire speed and see if that helps. I am pretty impressed with being 110 volt and 1/8 thick steel. Now don't get me wrong, it's not the best weld, but with a little bit of practice, that's going to be a good welder. We have plenty of snow. Alright. Get a chip and hammer and a wire brush, but that's pretty. Let me bring it in and show you. That's pretty good. Now, no judging. It's not the best. I'm pretty impressed. I've never used the flux-coated wire, and this is only with 110 volt, and that's some thick gauged steel. Now it has that coating over it, that's from the flux coating, and that's what you get instead of having to have gas. I think we got quite a bit of spatter. I think that's because it's the flux core coated wire, but right here at the end, those welds were getting pretty good. That was the test one. And then we were getting good right there. That's some pretty thick steel for that little welder, being on 110. Well, can I just say, holy crap. I had to make a few adjustments, but look at that. We were welding a sick fat bead there with 110 on 1/8" thick. That's crazy, guys. Let's take this outside and cool it off, and I'm really impressed. Wow, that's all I got to say. I am no professional welder, but I've only ever used Miller Maddox before, and I've never been impressed with them. I've always had issues with the wire and everything, jamming up and not welding that good. And this outperformed that by a lot. That's just crazy. It's pretty bright out here. And the millers were always 240 volts, so they should have a lot better welding capacity being 240. I don't think I'm gonna worry about going 240 with this one, with how good it's welding right now. Let me get this cleaned up again and I'll show you. It's not the most beautiful weld. I wasn't really going for perfection here. Got really amazed with how much of a fat, thick bead this was laying and putting down. So I just kind of kept going back and forth over my bead, seeing how big and thick I could get it. I was really impressed. So what I think I had wrong in the Mig Welder was the swing nut was too tight, so it wasn't letting the spool feed quick enough. And then I took the tension down to a 2 right here. And that seems to be a lot better. And I did crank the speed up, but I could go probably down to an H or up to an H. But I am so impressed with that. Man, I'm glad I bought the Vulcan. Just saying. So far, I'm happy with it. Also, I wasn't sure what I was going to think about having the gasless, the flux core wire, but I'm really impressed with that. That is a nice thick bead. There we go. There we go. Not the most prettiest weld, but for everything we're gonna need welding on the shipping container, that's gonna be perfect. Man, I'm impressed. You just never know what you're gonna get sometimes at Harbor Freight. Now that we have the welder situation all figured out, we can start working on our shipping container build up at the off-grid property. Man, I'm looking forward to it. It's just us and the crazy dogs this afternoon. And all the farm animals. Ladies. Oh, that one chicken was going towards the dogs. That's a crazy chicken. Come on, I'm gonna step on you. You can't walk under my feet. Ready? There's always one chicken that has to get under the feed when you throw it in midair. Maybe, just maybe today we'll have a fresh egg in this coop. Nope. They gotta be laying one here and there somewhere else other than NYC, because it's been over a week since we've gotten an egg out of that coop. Let's check the boys' hay feeder. Ouch. Nope. They're not laying in there. Their coop is, or the old barn is locked up, so they're not laying in the barn. I keep checking in our hay room, and I don't see anything in the hay room, so if they were laying somewhere else, I don't know where it would be. You guys all starting to get along now? Huh? I know, Libby's isn't out here. You still have plenty of hay in the feeder? Oh, we're gonna have to bring out our Christmas tree pretty soon. You got that other one all eaten, huh? Oh, it looks Looks like some of Olivia's flock came down to NYC. Whenever we start losing a lot of our snow, they decide it's a good time to get out of their limits and come down here. Hey guys, wrong coop. Come on, Tanner, Pluto. Come on. Come on. You and your ladies need to go up to your coop. You're breaking free. Let's go. Oh my. Go ahead. Come on. Push him in, Pluto. Alright, now you guys can stay up here. I'm hoping we have 5 eggs, but that's been wishful thinking lately. Survey says 3. Oh, that's better than none. 1, 2, 3. I've been a little hesitant lately on going to the next step on the shipping container build because I needed to figure out which welder to get and I had no clue which one I should be getting. But so far I am happy with the Vulcan. Hopefully it stays that way. Let me know what you guys think. Was it a good purchase? Should I have gotten a different brand? Let me know. Thanks for coming along on our homesteading journey, guys. If you guys liked the video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps. Leave a comment while you're down there. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications, and we'll see you right back here in the next video at Lumnah Acres.